Mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, looks like we straight. What's going on, people? Conscious Approach live stream. We're back. I know in quick succession, but it is. This is how we prefer to do it. So, JV Wins here. Dogon SS is here. We're gonna talk about one of our favorite people, Tom Brady, unretiring, and then we're gonna talk about Kanye and his latest, public situation, dealing with his personal life and various backs and forths going on between him and I guess his ex-wife and situations going on with his kids. Just kind of a mess of a situation with Kanye. But first, we're gonna get into the great we're gonna get into the great Tom Brady's retirement. So anybody who knows anything about sports or is plugged into the sports world, even if at this point Tom Brady is big enough, even if you ain't into sports, you know who Tom Brady is. After 22 years, he retired from the NFL at the conclusion of this past NFL season. But 2 days ago, he unretired. He said he still got juice and he still wants to play. And he still has a lot left in the tank and he doesn't feel like he wants to retire. So he unretired and came back. He'll be playing for the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for the 2022 season. So his unretirement has mostly been celebrated, I guess you can say. But not everybody feels that way. So I just kind of wanted to provide some context to the idea that there are some people, specifically in the media, who feel some type of way about Tom Brady unretiring. So I found this article. It was written by the Boston Globe. I'll add a link to the description of this video so that you can click on it yourself. But there's a guy who works at the Boston Globe by the name of Dan Shaughnessy. He's a columnist. Now, it should be noted that he works for the Boston Globe. So he probably feels scorned by Tom Brady because Tom Brady used to play for the Patriots and now he plays for the Bucks. So, definitely make sure that you keep that in mind as I read this because people are supposed to be subjective in the media, and I don't think that this guy is subjective at all, given those facts. But he's also a columnist, and I don't know everything there is to know about journalism, but I do believe that columnists are not reporters. Columnists are people who opine. So they don't necessarily have the same standard of maintaining objectivity that reporters do, because as a columnist, you can just give your opinion and opine. But there's an article written by this guy. Real quick, he said Tom Brady announced Sunday night that he is coming back to football. He is going to play quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He did this 41 days after telling us that he was done with football, after telling us he was done with the Buccaneers. Brady changed the New England sports universe. He was a champion. He was clutch. He was polite. He was smart and careful. When the game was on the line, he was the greatest performer this side of Bill Russell. Now he is just annoying. He won't go away. He is an insatiable, passive-aggressive attention hog.
Oh, wow.
Please, Tom, stop.
Wow.
Sure, we'll watch. And Brady probably will be great again at the age of 45. He takes care of his body and knows how to protect himself on the field. He plays the quarterback position like a man playing a video game from his couch. Brady can still be great. But what about dignity? What about all the stuff Tom said about being done and needing time to be with his family? Are we watching the midlife crisis of one of the greatest athletes we have ever seen? After a Patriot career he conducted with class and good old-fashioned Gary Cooper humility, Brady has morphed into an attention-seeking carnival act, on par with Deion Sanders, Brett Favre, Dennis Rodman, and the manager who couldn't quit, Billy Martin. It feels like somewhere along the line, Brady acquired a neediness gene from his longtime boss, Bob Kraft. And I'll just leave it at that. So this guy clearly is not appreciative of Tom Brady coming out of retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But, I just wanted to kind of read that to set the stage, but I'll let you take it from there.
That was pretty funny. I'm glad you prefaced it first by saying that this guy was probably an Patriots fan that's scorned a little bit by Tom's decision. But my thing is with first of all, let me just touch on the article because everything that he claims that Tom Brady is now, he was always those things. This isn't new stuff. So for him, I guess his rose-tinted glasses are no longer rose-tinted. So now he sees him for who he really is. But he was always those things.
Yeah.
So the reason why I didn't like Tom Brady is because deep down, you could pretty much tell he's a jackass. And it's kind of hard to like a guy like that, where it's like I wouldn't have a beer with him. Over time, though, I just got I hate it so hard. I hate it so hard on Brady, and he was a fun villain to have. But then they got to a point where it's just like, man, like this is impressive. He's beating people.
Yeah.
And so then it got to the point where it's like, this isn't hate no more. I can actually see this guy's actually pretty damn good. So I'll give it to him and whatever. So as of late, I say as of probably like the last 5 years, I was just like, I went from neutral to Tom Brady to, all right, man, let him do his thing. And so now it's the same thing. I was kind of hoping he made a clean break, that he didn't do any I'm retired and then I'm not type of thing. But I don't even think he retired the first time, I guess. I didn't see it as a retirement the first time, at least the statement that he gave. He didn't mention anything about retirement in there, I don't think. So I felt like he left it open to come back, but he was quiet for a while. So I just wrote it off until the recent news. So, whatever. I was getting used to the fact of having a Tom Brady free NFL. I was looking forward to seeing new faces be the new people and not have him just hovering around every news story every week. Mm-hmm. But here we are. For every reason that guy said in the article, because he loves the limelight, he loves the attention. But when has he not? Yeah. So that's how I feel about it, at least initially.
Man, it's so many layers. It's so many ways to approach this. All right, so first of all, let me talk about because you talked about how you felt about Tom Brady, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll start with that. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, so as a Dolphins fan,
yes,
right off rip,
yes, yeah.
Grew up not liking Tom Brady because they kept beating us. Like the Miami Dolphins, for anyone who doesn't know, the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots are both in the AFC East Division. Tom Brady played for the Patriots for 20 years or whatever. Every year they were beating our ass. Right then and there, like that alone is enough to make me not like a guy. But as you so eloquently put it, it was either the Seahawks or the Falcons Super Bowl. It was one of those where I finally just threw my hands up and I gave up. Because after a while, when you win 5 Super Bowls, that's not because you're not good.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, you just start to look silly.
Yeah.
Rooting against the guy just for the sake of doing it. Like after a while, I just want to see how much he can run it up. After a certain point, it ceases to be, I'm rooting against him to win because I don't want him to be considered the greatest quarterback ever.
Yeah.
Once you realize that that's going to happen, you stop, like I let it go. Like I stopped caring about that. And I just started becoming interested in seeing just how much he can run it up. 7, 8, 9 Super Bowls. I just want to see a video game play out in real life at this point. Mm-hmm. I just want to be able to be someone who was alive to witness a real life video game. I'm pretty sure old guys can't get over Bill Russell, at least in part because back then that was like a video game in real life. How do you win 11 championships? How does that happen? Mm-hmm. So like after a while with Tom Brady, it was just like I just want to see somebody playing Madden in real life. And that's what Brady was doing. He was just winning every other Super Bowl. Like, I'll just win it again. I found it to be impressive enough. that I couldn't continue to reconcile the idea that I'm just going to root against this guy mechanically. So I let it go. I stopped rooting against him, and I just started, frankly, rooting for him. And it became easier for me to root for him once he left New England, because now he's not in our division. He's not even in our conference. He's playing for the Buccaneers. I never really had an issue with the Bucks. I used to root for the Bucks when they had Tony Dungy and all of those guys. Warren Sapp, and when they won that Super Bowl back then, well, they didn't win the Super Bowl with Dungy. They won it with Gruden, but, Dungy put the whole thing together. They had a bunch of people on that team I liked, so I never really had a problem with the Buccaneers. I'll root for the Bucks fine. So, as a football player and in terms of his football achievement, it was either after they won that Seahawks Super Bowl when they shouldn't have, because they should have just ran the ball, Seattle, or, when the Falcons had them up 28-3. And somehow they still came back and won. Like, after that, it's just like, all right, I give up. Let's go, Brady. I'm just done. Because I'm not going to put myself through that emotional strain of rooting against the guy, and then he wins, and now I have to decompress from that emotional state by dealing with the fact that he won. Like, I'd rather just get on board so that I can just be happy with it and not be all emotionally distraught. Now, when it comes to the person of Tom Brady, because you talked about how he's a jackass.
He's a jackass.
Yeah. So, so I feel like you feel about Tom Brady the same way I feel about LeBron. when you rail against Brady for being a jackass,
yes,
I don't think that you're railing against Brady. I think you're railing against the Brady machine. I think that's what you're railing against. No, because look,
that's hard, bro.
Because look, Brady's behavior throughout his career has been consistent with what it is. I think that what you react to is the people who go into all of this hyperbole, talking about Tom Brady and how perfect he is and how great a leader he is and how much everyone wants to play with him and how he turns water to wine and can do no wrong. It's the rhetoric around Tom Brady that you're really going after when you talk about how much of a jackass he is. Because if the media machine isn't constantly stroking him, then you have nothing to juxtapose his behavior against and come to the conclusion that he's a jackass. Because what has he done? Like, look,
go ahead. You're making points. Go ahead.
Like, as a guy, all Tom Brady has done has been himself. And I'm not saying that he's been faking anything. I think he has been who he is. But you get these people in the media and these television shows and these gas bags on radio and TV who just can't stop salivating over him. It creates his aura. And so, and I won't go so far as to say that he hasn't contributed to it, because he's a smart enough guy to know what his media perception is, and therefore he can play into it. I'm just saying, I don't think that he's created it. I think that he's just taking advantage of it. I feel the same way about LeBron. Like, I think LeBron has always been, look, LeBron be yelling at teammates. He gets coaches fired.
Yes, he is.
He gets passive aggressive in the media. He does all of the petty, underhanded stuff that other superstars do. But publicly, you get these people on TV and the radio, these gas bags, who can't stop stroking LeBron and talking about how he makes his teammates better and how he drags other people to the finals and how he is the reason single-handedly why all of his teams win NBA championships. And so for me, I can't stand that. And so it causes me to root against him. And it causes me to believe that he's this passive-aggressive piece of shit, even though he's been the same guy he's been his whole career. But I also think that he is smart and perceptive enough to know that that's his media narrative and to therefore play into it and exacerbate it and make it worse. So I feel like Tom Brady and LeBron, in my opinion, are kind of one and the same in that regard. I know that when I'm rooting against LeBron and I'm criticizing LeBron and being anti-LeBron, I'm really being anti-Skip. I'm really being anti-Shannon Sharp. And I'm being anti-Nick Wright. and I'm being anti all of these people on these
Will
sports
Bond.
yeah, I'm being anti all of these people on these sports radio shows who can't see the forest from the trees and will look at another guy throw a teammate under the bus and call that guy out. But when LeBron throws a teammate under the bus because of LeBron, it must be okay. Because if LeBron does it, it must be the right thing to do because he's LeBron. No, LeBron does the same underhanded garbage that the rest of these superstars do, so he needs to be called accordingly for it. That's just how I feel. So bringing it back to Tom Brady, I feel the same way about him. Tom Brady be yelling at people on the sidelines, throwing stuff, yelling at coaches. He does the same. Now, Antonio Brown is a little different because Antonio Brown is kind of like Tom Brady's not going to take off his jersey on the sidelines or do that kind of crazy dysfunctional stuff. But, you know, some of these receivers, T.O. calling people out, like maybe Brady won't call somebody out by name publicly in the media, but Brady on the sidelines yelling at teammates, yelling at coaches, throwing stuff, breaking tablets, going at. It was a game the Bucks played the Saints this year. And I think Tom Brady threw a touchdown pass. He ran to the Saints sideline to cuss out like the defensive coordinator for the Saints or something like that. Yeah. When Tom Brady does that, he has fire and passion. But if T.O. does that, he's a malcontent and a cancer.
Exactly.
And so it's like these double standards is what causes me to root against people like Brady and LeBron. But I just try to maintain perspective and say, look, these guys are still great. Tom Brady still did what he did. You can't win 7 Super Bowls and be a bum. So he has to be good for real. Yeah. I just try to compartmentalize it and say, I'm not going to invest too much emotional energy in rooting against him when he continues to be successful. But at the same time, I can acknowledge the fact that he is a jackass, but he's been a jackass this whole time. I've just been somebody who's been able to understand that this has been who he always has been. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to double talk and be all righteously indignant and be like, oh, Tom Brady's great because Tom Brady can do this because he's Tom Brady. No, if Tom Brady can't do it, if these guys can't do it, Tom Brady can't do it either. Like that's where the balance gets lost, and that's what gets annoying for me. But it is what it is. When he unretired, it was just like, I'm okay. Give me more. I hope the Bucks win. Like, just let me see if Tom Brady can win number 8 because I just got out of the business of investing my emotional energy in Tom Brady's demise. Seriously, like I'm not putting myself through it anymore. I put myself through it for the first 27 years of my life, 27, 28 years, and I got tired of it. It's too high stakes. My blood pressure gets too high. He's in the NFC, AFC championship game or the Super Bowl every damn year. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of being on pins and needles, hoping that the other team beats Tom Brady. I'm tired of it. It's too much. It's too much on my heart. So at this point, I'm just like, if he wins, cool. And if he doesn't, cool. That's how I feel about his unretirement. Let him come on back in and try to keep running it up.
This has probably rejuvenated me to going back to hating on him again. And because I gave him a pass. So I was like, hey, bro, you're cool with me, man, whatever. I really didn't want to see him retire on the bad side. So, just getting messed up, not making the throws, barely getting it downfield, Ben Roethlisberger stuff.
Peyton Manning
stuff. Yeah. I didn't want to see that. Yeah. I still felt as though he left at a good enough spot, fighting well to the end at an old age. Nobody would have felt any kind of way about it. For him to come back, a few things here. I won't call him greedy. I mean, what else is he supposed to do? So, I mean, it's the only thing he does. He seems to really love it. I don't blame him. So, if he can still go out there and compete at a high level, why not go and do it? So, right. I'm not mad at him for doing it. But my thing is that I gave room for Joe Burrow and and new people. That was a part of me going, hey, man, let it go. But for him to be like, yeah, I want one more. I was like, I gave you that last year. I want Burrow and these other guys to have their time and stuff. So Unfortunately for those guys that have their time, Tom can't win this year. So I'm not going to be cheering for that. To me, it's getting stale. So I want the new blood. I want the new guys, and I want the new Captain Americas, whoever they look like.
Yeah.
We had this guy for 2 decades.
Yeah.
Enough
is enough.
Yeah, I mean, come on, bro. You've done your thing. So, but Tom is, and I guess this thing to tie into the LeBron thing, because I don't like Jordan either. I think Jordan's an asshole. At the time when Kobe played, I thought Kobe was an asshole until post-retirement Kobe. I was like, this guy's chill as shit. But at the time when Kobe played, it was like, But it was their competitive nature that makes them what normal people call assholes.
Yeah.
And in order to be at that high level of whatever they are in their craft, they really have this chip on their shoulder to be excellent at whatever the hell that they're doing.
Yeah.
So that chip prevents them from having regular, quote unquote, social skills that we have because we ain't in the gym all day long.
Yeah.
And so for Tom, he's an ultimate competitor, clearly. And for him to go out there at almost senior citizen discount age and still throwing, and while guys are running 4.2s, it's very impressive. So I give him all the credit in the world. It's cool. I see both sides of it, but the greedy side of me goes, "Hey, bro, I've seen enough. I want the new wave to have their moment. So I will be rooting against him. Not for him to have bad games. I'm over that. I'm just not. I don't want him to win.
I hear you.
Yeah, I don't want, because this guy, because he's got it, but I don't think he really tried to make a spectacle of this. You can only quote unquote retire once, and then for him to go, I'm done, and then there's whatever's coming up, OTAs or whatever, and he's getting the itch, and it's like I can't blame the guy for going nah, I'll come back. So hey man, teach his own. You can't take the basketball away from me. Still to this day, so why should I take the football away from him? So whatever, Tom.
Yeah, right. But see, even then, I feel like you're responding to the machine of Tom, not the Tom.
Oh yeah,
because like what? Okay, Tom Brady's not telling Fox and ESPN and NFL Network cover me more than the young quarterbacks. He's not doing that. They're doing that. So it's like Tom just wants to play. Like and like I agree with you. Like, and I can relate to this personally. And just a quick aside, just to get a little personal. So for a year, I worked as a part-time cook at a restaurant that I won't name for years, a long time. You know where I worked. So like me, I have that kind of thing about me where I just want to be the absolute best that I can be at everything that I try to do. So when I was in that environment performing that job, I used to rub a lot of people the wrong way, to the point where a lot of people thought that I was a bad guy. Like a lot of people thought that I was a jerk. You could probably to this day ask a lot of people who work with me at that place, and they will not have a nice word to say about me. They really felt like I was an asshole. And it's like in that environment, and this is where I will side with people like LeBron, because I get it, and people like Tom Brady. Obviously not at the level that they're at, because they're the greatest of all time at what they do in their respective fields. But I understand the sentiment. And it's like when I was in that environment, I'm in there, I can do this. It's like I had a third eye. Like I had gotten so proficient at the job, I could damn near do it with one arm tied behind my back. I was so good at it that if I was working with others who were not at least in the vicinity of my level of competency with that, I had an issue with it. It's like, get this guy, I can't do this. Bring in somebody who I could work with, because they're slowing me down. Like, you're getting me behind. We're getting behind on these orders because you can't keep up with me. You need to either get better and improve, or if you can't get better and improve, go somewhere else. I need somebody else in here who can do this with me. And you're not going to run into everybody can't do that. That's unreasonable. Not everybody's like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when on those days where the shifts got rough and we got behind and things didn't go well and my attitude would be messed up and I'd kind of be down and yelling and cussing people out, like, people really would look at me and be like, I don't want to work with this guy. This guy's a jerk. This guy is a cancer. He's a malcontent. I wish he would quit. I want to be able to fire him, but I can't because then he could file for unemployment. I was that guy. And so that's not who I am as a person for real.
Right.
That's not how I am. And as I've gotten older, I've learned how to better manage those emotions. But in the heat of the moment, yeah, I went Kobe, I went Tom Brady, I went LeBron. And again, LeBron gets all of this credit for being this great guy. LeBron throws people under the bus, yells at coaches, get coaches fired,
all the time.
Yells at teammates all the time. So you can miss me with this LeBron is a great guy, great teammate thing. No, he's conditionally a great guy and a great teammate as long as you can help him get to where he needs to be, which is the same crazy gene that every other superstar has. He's no different. So I can relate to that, and having that experience, and I experience it to this day, even in my own job, where I can kind of lose it from time to time. But it's just like, from that standpoint, I get it. And so that's what I feel like is going on with Tom Brady. Tom Brady last year threw for the most yards and for the most touchdowns. And his touchdown to interception ratio was good. So he's looking around and he's saying, what do I need to quit for? Like, I can still do this. Why am I going to allow you to age me out of this because you believe I should retire because of my age? No, like, I'm still good and I can still do this at a high level. I got the crazy gene in me. I'm going to keep doing this forever, or at least until I do slide and I don't give a damn what people have to say about it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, from that standpoint, I get it. Like, I can't get mad at him because all great people who just sort of tirelessly commit themselves to excellence at that kind of a level. And it doesn't even have to be sports. We could be talking about a CEO for a company who has been running a company for 40 years and the company's doing great and he still has the desire and the energy to do his job, but the board is trying to get him to retire. And he's looking around like, for what? Like, what am I retiring for? I still want to do it. I still do a good job. We still doing good. The company health is great. What do I need to retire for? For what? To go home and do what? Stare at the walls, play golf? Like, I don't want to do that. I still want to work. So some of this is like, our antiquated societal expectations of what retirement means. In sports, a lot of it has to do with age. There's this idea that you're supposed to be gone if you're as old as Tom Brady. But the thing is, like, if you're that good and you've been able to kind of break the mold, there's no reason why you should keep going, why you shouldn't keep going. And even with LeBron, as much as I would love to, I'm ready for an NBA without LeBron. Personally, I would love it if tomorrow LeBron retired. That would make me happy. I don't need to continue to watch LeBron. I'm good. I feel that this is why. Yeah, no, I don't need him. I'm ready for him to go because I'm good watching KD, Giannis, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum. I'm good watching these guys. Embiid, I am. I don't need LeBron in the NBA anymore. I don't. So I'm ready for him to retire. But he's averaging 30 a game, and whatever he gets with his stats stuff himself. So like with his stat sheet stuff himself. So it's like, who am I to be like, LeBron, you need to go away? Like, I'm tired of you. I want you to go away, but you're doing your thing. So who am I to tell you you need to go away for what? I don't care how many years you've been in the game and the fact that you're 36 or 37 or whatever he is, like, he's still good. So far be it for me to tell somebody else that they should put something down when they can still perform it at a high level and do it well and admirably. And I do think that the heart of this is that psycho gene, where whether it's musicians, artists, pro athletes, business people, smart people, entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter what the industry is. People who are at the very top, they have that thing in common, where it's like they got tunnel vision, and all they care about is that singular focus. And they dedicate themselves to it to the point where they can do it better, longer than everyone else. And so everyone else's standards should not apply to them, frankly. That's basically what we're looking at with Tom Brady. Now, if he shows up throwing ducks and getting picked off every other play and all of that kind of stuff, then it's like, all right, bro, it's time to pack it in. But I mean, last year, he threw for the most yards and he didn't throw that many picks and he threw the most touchdowns. So what can you say?
Yeah, and to address the machine thing, I never really. I mean, I did assess the machine thing in assessing my dislike for Tom Brady. That's valid. But also, just like how you said, I mean, just coming up as a Dolphins fan, you just have a natural disdain for the Patriots and the Jets and the Bills.
Yeah.
And so we gave the Patriots hell, but at the same time, it was this corner that hit like around 2000 where we just weren't even on the same playing field anymore. We'll win a game here or there, but the division was theirs, hands down.
Yeah.
And so it went from being a scrap type of thing to not even close. Yeah. So from there, that's where the disdain for Tom Brady came. But I just want to relate it real quick to, because I had this thing with Tim Tebow when he was playing at Florida. And so I hated the media storm around him.
Yeah.
I hated how he played into the media storm.
Yeah, he definitely did.
But it wasn't. He couldn't throw. I didn't think the guy was a good quarterback, but I did think he was a good football player. And I felt as though it wasn't sexy what he was doing for the Broncos, but I was enjoying it in a way because I was like, well, he's still winning.
Yeah.
I didn't think this stuff was going to work. And for whatever reason, I didn't think the NFL wanted that. I don't think they wanted Tim Tebow football. I don't think they did. It's the only reason why I can explain why he was winning. He went to the playoffs, won a game, and still doing his Tim Tebow stuff, rallying troops, and not getting another shot.
Yeah.
But as he was doing all of that stuff, I'm sitting there watching. I was like, why don't I like him?
Yeah.
I wanted him to come to at the time, but he went to Florida, so whatever. But it's not like I don't like the guy. What did I not like the guy from? And it was from ESPN, man.
It's the media. Bro, the machine will make you not like a particular. That's what I've noticed about these pro athletes. Whenever I find myself, that's why whenever I talk about LeBron, I always have to preface my comments by saying I never really am going at LeBron individually. Really, what I'm going at is his machine. That's really what I'm going at.
I get it. And so, because right now, I guess, because the league, they need to do this or whatever, but I can't be on social media without seeing a Ja Morant hype post. And it's just like, look, this kid's good. And he's this generation's Iverson in the respect of he's young, flashy, and cool and stuff. And all the kids like him and he's flashy. So that's as close to Iverson as I give the guy. But as far as everything else, it's just like, oh, yeah, he's this, he's that. Seeing science. Ja Morant can jump from this far to, technically speaking, that's a 48-inch vertical. And it's like, what is this? What is all of this stuff? The hype machines, that's true. And so what I just need to do is, because first of all, I wasn't going to let it tamper my Ja Morant enjoyment. So I was like, hey, man, I thought the kid was good before I started seeing all this stuff. So to hell with y'all. Y'all not going to make me dislike the guy.
Yeah.
But I'm old. I think I'm old enough now to see it coming from a mile away. But they got me with Tom Brady. Yeah. And like you said, he bought into it. Yeah. But what more can you ask from this guy?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he just played it right the whole way through, from career to off the field. So it is what it is with this guy. Just won't be rooting for him this year, though.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And look, man, like the way that you say, okay, man, I'm looking at these other quarterbacks. I want them to get they shine. I feel the same way about the league. Like, that's why I said what I said. I can live in a league where I'm watching Giannis and KD and Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Ja Morant. It's a ton of really, really good. The level of talent at the top of the NBA is ridiculous. How these guys come into the league and they're already dropping 30 a game and they're only in their second or third year. That to me is the most impressive thing I've seen in my lifetime. because you never used to see a superstar NBA player get to that point until maybe about 5 or 6 years in. These kids are coming into the league 2 years, dropping 30 a game. Like, it's insane. Donovan Mitchell, guys like this, scoring 50 in playoff games, it's out of control. So, like, I can watch that. I don't need LeBron anymore.
I got you.
And the reason why I don't need LeBron is because I don't need any more of this greatest of all time, but greater than Michael Jordan, the greatest player ever, the greatest this, he does that, and blah, blah, blah. And all of these superlatives, I'm tired of it, and I don't need it in my life anymore. So that's why I'm ready for him to retire. And like I always used to link LeBron and Brady because I felt like it's interesting with me because I always liked Peyton Manning. When I was growing up, I liked Peyton Manning because when I watched Peyton Manning play, in my opinion, when Peyton Manning was good and in his prime, he performed the position at a higher level than Tom Brady. However, Tom Brady's teams always won in the playoffs. And so you know how the media gets with that championship ring count and stuff. It was always Tom Brady's better because he has more Super Bowls. I never tend to agree with that wholly, even though Peyton did look bad in some of those playoff games. But just on a game-to-game basis, season to season, watching the stuff that Peyton Manning used to do and the numbers that he was putting up, I felt like he was better. But Tom Brady got the shine because of the Super Bowls. In terms of mastery of craft, I prefer Peyton Manning. I feel like Peyton Manning is to Tom Brady what Kobe is to LeBron. Like, I felt like Kobe individually as a basketball player was better. However, LeBron was getting his stats and his numbers. Kobe still has the championship edge, but LeBron was just getting all of the 28 8s and 8s. And so he was just steamrolling the conversation because of his numbers. And so that helped to create the machine. And it fed into this idea that he was better. And I kind of didn't like Tom Brady historically because of the juxtaposition to Peyton Manning, who I preferred. Similar to the way that I never liked LeBron because of the juxtaposition to Kobe, who I prefer. To this day, I still prefer Kobe. But I've kind of given up on the Peyton Manning thing. I think the Tom Brady thing, Tom Brady is better at this point, Tom Brady's better than Peyton Manning.
But let me just say that, and this is because this is like it's like we were there. We saw this whole thing happen. So it's not like we got to watch NFL films to recant this so we can get the NFL's interpretation of this guy's career. And so, but we were there for the tuck. We were there for the ruling on the field stands for whatever the Patriots needed.
The Adam Vinatieri field goals.
Yeah, and it's just like, hey, these guys had a ton of breaks.
Yeah.
Because and I get what you're saying now with the NBA, you're relating it because you just knew the NBA was reserving a spot for LeBron. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
LeBron was primetime TV. I'm sorry. Him going to the finals every year for 8 years. It didn't dawn on me until it was like the 8th year, until they kept making a big deal. I was like, oh, yeah, he's here every year.
Yeah.
But he's not winning every year. But the reason why he's there every year because he's good TV. Those teams were never good enough to win a championship. So it was just like, unless he really played like the person they claimed him to be.
Right.
And so they didn't win because he's really not that great. He's a good facilitator who can stuff stats.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, man. Oh, woo. I still think he's a dynamic person. I still think the same thing for what LeBron's doing at age 37 in the NBA is equally as impressive as what Tom Brady's doing at 45.
Yeah.
And so for LeBron to go out there and drop 50 or go get a triple double at this age, yeah, you can't tell me that that's not impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still, they're on that playing field, not taking that away from them, but. Yeah, man. I was there for those championships. When he was at 5, I was like, man, that's more like 2.
Yeah,
that's more like 3.
Yeah.
So
I'll be asterisking too, bro. Like that bubble championship that LeBron got, I look at it kind of funny. But see, that's the thing. Like I don't know. I just always kind of viewed those as unique parallels, like Peyton and Kobe, and then LeBron and Tom Brady. I've always said like Tom Brady and LeBron benefit from the greatest. I always called it the greatest superstar double standard in the history of sports.
I agree.
Now, I've come to kind of accept it more with Brady because, again, 7 Super Bowls, hard to argue that. Because I'd watch Tom Brady have bad games. Like, I think I mentioned this to you before. I used to watch Tom Brady when he was still on the Patriots. They go to play the Buffalo Bills. He threw 4 picks in a game. He had a horrible game, horrible. He played like ass, and which is okay because not everyone plays good all the time. But these guys get on ESPN and they were like, "Oh, none of those picks are Tom Brady's fault."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, "Oh, come on, man! You gotta put him in a better spot. You gotta run the right route. Stop dropping the ball." Da 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 da. Now, the thing that makes it a double standard is it's not that they were wrong when they were saying that. It's that if that's another quarterback, they're saying, "Oh, this guy threw 4 picks. He had a bad game." No one is talking about bad routes or drop throws if it's a different guy, at least back then. But because it was Tom Brady and he had his machine, all of a sudden it's bad routes from receivers and guys dropping the ball. So it was just a complete and utter double standard. And the same thing was going on with LeBron. It's like LeBron stuffs the stat sheet, they lose in the finals, and he doesn't have enough help. But but put a guy like Tracy McGrady, for example, in that same situation, who's dropping 40 in every game, but they're losing in the playoffs, and it's, "Oh, this is a stain on McGrady's legacy."
Exactly.
It's like, what are we doing here with these double standards and the way that we It's like we pick certain players based upon the narrative and the story, and we just drive these points home, and it alienates guys like me who understand the game and is watching this and is saying, "You guys are just creating machines out of this." And so a result of that is me rooting against them. Because for me, it's like, if this guy's going to have a machine and not be held to account for failures, regardless of the result, then I'd rather him lose than win. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather see him lose. Because every time LeBron's lost in the finals, with the exception of 2011 with the Mavericks, it's been he didn't have help. Every time. And it's like, where are we going with this? How is it every year he loses, he doesn't have enough help? The coach is this guy's teammate, blah, blah, blah. It's always a reason for it. And I used to feel like the same thing was going on with Brady. But like I said before, and I'll end it on this note for me, once you win 7 Super Bowls in a sport where it is really hard to win that many times, I kind of relent. And it's just like, okay, well, Brady, he's less of a problem for me than like LeBron, for example, who I'm still extremely annoyed by. Again, not because of him, but because of his media narrative, his machine. But kudos to him, man. I understand what it means to have that insane gene and to want to keep playing. And so I'm not entirely mad about him coming out of retirement. But I will say, though, that I do prefer to see these other guys be at the forefront more than him. Burrow and Herbert and Mahomes and, all of these other guys who are really good. They throw Lamar Jackson in there, even though I kind of feel like Lamar Jackson is not as good as they say he is. And whoever else, any of these other good, QBs or other skill position players, like, let them do their thing. But the machine is going to do what the machine does. So I've just decided I'm not going to let it bother me.
Yeah, well said. Well said. We definitely have to revisit the LeBron, because I think you will ruffle some feathers with if you because I'm sure you've already ruffled some now. But I'm just saying we definitely need to have like a LeBron conversation, just so you can bring up so we can unpack some more of these things, because it's so many layers to the LeBron phenomenon. and honestly, it's worth a case study, honestly, just so we can just say, hey, this is what happened with LeBron James. Honestly, you could take Michael Jordan's career and LeBron's career, and you can compare a lot of the similarities of how the NBA made those guys, untouchable, and how the media made those guys untouchable. And that's why they're comparing them to like which one's the great. And we had to say the thing before, their definition of GOAT basically of who is the best NBA ambassador. and who was best for the game, who made it more popular. Now, it wasn't about who's doing what on the court. And so, but yeah, we definitely got to have a LeBron discussion, man. So we could definitely unpack more of that.
yeah, it's way more meat to get into with that, man. I'm just, like I said, man, I'm personally, I'm over the guy, and when he retires, I will not be crying a river. That's just me.
You say that now.
No, I promise you. You can take my word on that, just like you can take my word that I'll never spend money on OnlyFans. I will not shed a tear when he retires. I won't. I won't. I shed a tear when Kobe retired, not when he retired, not when he will retire.
That's fair.
But yeah, so we'll move on, man. Enough of that. Good luck, Tom Brady, or not. Next, we're gonna talk about Kanye West. So Kanye West lately has kind of he's been in the public eye. There's a lot of dysfunctionality going on between him and his family situation. He was married to Kim Kardashian. Now he's not. They're trying to co-parent. He doesn't mind going on social media to talk about how he's being unfairly treated in terms of with respect to the co-parenting dynamic. You got Kim Kardashian, his now ex-wife's current relationship with Pete Davidson. They exchanging text messages. Pete Davidson talking about how he's in bed with his wife, just being completely disrespectful and over the top. And, Kanye has done enough in the way of putting himself in the public in a way that is not flattering to his persona. I think that's as delicate as I can put it. But here we are again with Kanye. So we got the latest string of stuff going on with him. So we'll play a couple clips and then we'll talk about it on the back end.
Oh, snap. An ad.
Oh yeah, we'll just go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, they'll get you with the ads, man. That's the world we live in. Mandatory ads.
Damn. All right, here we go.
Hey everybody, I just got off the phone with Kim. I told her to stop antagonizing me with this TikTok thing. I said it's never again. I am her father. I know y'all don't respect fathers and the idea of family, and media tries to promote something. I said I'm not allowing my daughter to be used by TikTok, to be used by Disney. I have a say-so. And then when people say, oh, they're going to use this for you in court, I didn't have a say-so on whether or not they went to see Eric Canyon. Most men do not, there's no such thing as 50-50 custody with in society today. That's not even, it always leans towards the mom. But right now, and I'm happy that you guys got to see just a small piece of what I dealt with. You understand what I'm saying? So when we had the Donda 2 release in Miami, I got a flight for all my kids to come from Calabasas to come to Miami to see the kids. Then assistant hit me and said, all the kids, they said the kids are there. When the plane took off, I got a text from Kim that said, North won't be on the plane. You see, this is the kind of stuff that's just like the Chicago birthday party. And I'm glad that y'all saw in the variety piece what I have to deal with. Here go another thing. The Doves high school basketball game. We hold one in California. My daughter loves basketball. I want her to see the league that her father is starting. North can't go to that game. Now we got Sunday service this morning at 10 a.m. and it's North had a sleepover, so she can't come to Sunday service. I moved the Sunday service up to 10 a.m. so that I can go to Saint soccer game at 12:30. Move the entire thing.
This guy.
Yeah, I guess he was like, oh, that's enough. Enough is enough.
Well, let's go ahead and check the other one out real quick.
All right, so we got one more, man, and
let this ad play. Mute that. All right, so while that's going, let me stop sharing this one and then get the sharing on that one. Yeah, man. Okay.
It's going too far.
God.
God, please. The boyfriend texts me, antagonizing me, bragging about being in bed with my wife. I thought publicly for a year and a half. I've been dragged, and how she's not my wife. She don't have a last name, and now he texting me, talking and bragging about how he's in bed with my wife. And I'm like, well, who's watching my children if he's texting me bragging about being in bed with my wife? And I thought this wasn't my wife no more legally, since I got the I got the lawyer to finally finish the divorce, because every time I finish the show, the Free Hoover show, the next day she dropping the last night. Every time I do something positive, it's something negative that's coming. I go and get the laptop from Ray J. Then she joking about divorce. I go and get the lawyer, change the lawyer so we can finally do the divorce. And then somehow I'm the one that's the stalker. God, I just need to protect you protect the children. I know our nannies, some of them are Christian. You touch them, please, God, today, and have them bring my children to Sunday service this morning. The devil ain't gonna win. You get what I'm saying? This is gaslighting. Kim gets black people out of prison. You know who puts black people in prison? The person that the boyfriend has a tattoo of, Hillary. You understand the setup right here? You understand the narrative right here? God, please, in your son's name, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, please make sure my kids come to Sunday service. Please. Amen.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh. The only thing that I guess the first thing that I'll say about this is, in the past, whether it has been the interview that he did on Sway in the Morning where he lost his mind, or what was the other one he did? He had another one. There was another one that he did
When he was on stage on his tour, or
yeah,
where don't send your hitters at me, or
where he lost his mind. Like, relative to those situations, in these two clips, he was like remarkably lucid. I'll say that. So he was less hysterical than usual.
Agreed.
I kind of feel bad for him. The only thing that I'll say, and this is across the board, whether it's him or any of these other people, even though I'm appreciative of the content, obviously, because it gives us something to talk about on this stream, I nevertheless am never in favor of people publicly airing out private family matters. Like, I don't care who you are, handle that stuff in-house. Like, I don't like seeing that kind of dysfunctionality being played out for the masses to consume. Because especially when you're dealing with like relational dynamics and things like marriage and divorce and kids and family and all of that super duper personal stuff, you're opening yourself up when you do this to people who have no involvement personally with the situation whatsoever to formulate an uninformed opinion about you and your family situation. And the thing about it is, as much a bad or good guy as any of the individuals involved with this situation might appear to be, you do not know what's going on for real because you're not personally involved in the situation. Like, you're not in the house, you're not in the family, you're not in the group chat or whatever the case may be. So you really don't know. But despite the fact that you don't know, you can still form, like I said, an uninformed opinion because these people are allowing themselves, they're opening themselves up to that by airing this kind of stuff out publicly. So I'm going to try and stray away from talking about what's going on internally because I'm not involved. Therefore, I don't know. But I will say this. First of all, and he had the receipts in the video. So he showed the text stream where Pete Davidson replied that he was in bed with Kanye's wife. That is completely over the line and disrespectful. Now, Pete Davidson, I don't follow these celebrities like that, so I don't really know Buddy from a can of paint. I know that he wrote a couple of movies and he's on Saturday Night Live. That's all that I really know about him. And some of the tea leaves would suggest he deals with some of that mental health stuff. So he, from time to time, is prone to unhinged behavior. And it would seem as so, because only an individual who's prone to unhinged behavior would go so far as to be that disrespectful. So he needs to check that, because that is just completely disrespectful. That'll be the extent of my soapbox in that regard. But what I will say about Kanye is, I do agree with Kanye that our current societal trend does attempt to deconstruct and break down traditional notions of family values. I think he's right about that. I do think that our current society does not like the traditional model of strong man supporting wife, them raising kids together. They want social anarchy. Our current society relishes in social anarchy, relishes in single parent households, relishes in female dominant households, relishes in children not being raised to maintain any kind of decorum or standards. Our society wants us to put 1 and 2 year old kids on TikTok. I believe that. We want to further traverse down the rabbit hole of social deviancy, sexual deviancy, just a lack of rules whatsoever. We just want complete and total anarchy. And I think that in that first clip, that's what Kanye was hitting on when he was talking about how the world does not want fathers in the life, doesn't want family to exist or anything like that. I think that that's what he's hitting on, and I think he's right about that. We need to get back to the point where these strong fathers are in a household raising kids to not be crazy, to not, you don't want to expose your kids to social media and TikTok at such a young age. Let them grow up and have kids. Let them grow up and be kids. Let them grow up to have normal social skills, notwithstanding the fact that, of course, when you're growing up in that celebrity world, not everything is going to be completely normal. So it's all within reason. But you don't have to put your kid on Instagram and TikTok at 2, 3, 4 years old. That's a decision that you're making as a parent. And that's the kind of stuff that I think Kanye was speaking about in that first clip, where he's just kind of venting his frustrations publicly because everything has kind of reached a tilt. Again, man, I kind of feel sorry for the guy. He was less hysterical in these clips compared to clips in the past where I've been less likely to be on his side, because he just seems like he's just kind of blown a gasket. Here, he didn't really seem like he blew a gasket, but I also don't think that it's the best look in the world to do this kind of stuff publicly. But that's just my personal sensibilities. I don't like all of the public stuff when it comes to delicate situations like this. But all of that being said, I just hope things work out in his favor. I just, it intrinsically bothers me or rubs me the wrong way when something appears to be a situation in which a guy is not being allowed to be an active participant in the development of his own children. That is, to me, a no-go. Again, is that really what's going on? All I can do is evaluate based on what I'm seeing here. And so that's what I'm doing. But if that is what's going on, it's a sad situation.
Yeah, for me, this comes across as, like you say, this is not as sensational as his other things, but this just falls right in line with everything else he does. And it was the one where he was on stage when he got, admitted to a mental hospital afterwards, where he was on stage and he was like, Jay-Z, don't send your people after me. And, that was the one where I was like, damn, he really out of here. I don't know what he on. But Kanye, and I'm going to psychoanalyze the guy. Yeah. But Kanye comes across as a guy that is alone. As famous as he is, he comes off as somebody that feels like he's doing this by himself. And that's why I think he hit it off so well with Antonio Brown. They're sharing. They feel like they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, kindred spirits. Yeah.
And so they feel like they're cut from the same cloth. They're going through the same type of things, and they're both extremely misunderstood. And I think that's
them, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where they're coming from. So I agree with you on the part of I don't like seeing people play their business out for the world to see.
Yeah.
But when you have been, he wasn't a child star, but he's been on for a while, and pushing 20 years. At least if you
as a producer, it's been more than 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you count his time behind the scenes, it's been over 20 years. So he's been on for a while, and he's a fringe guy. You used one of your words. He's a fringe guy that really took his fringe behavior and ran with it. The eccentric stuff, the Yeezus stuff, him calling himself a god and all that stuff, because the times that he was calling himself that, the rhetoric he was talking about wasn't new. He just came across it. So this stuff has been around, but then Kanye came across of, hey, you're a god. You know that, right? Oh, if you do this, you do that, everybody's going to worship you and all of that. And so he goes, oh, shit, I'm going to take this to where it needs to go with that fringe on the edge / genius stuff he got going on.
Yeah.
And then so he takes it down. What does the media love? They love train wrecks. And so for him to be out there with this mentality of I'm so far ahead of everybody because I'm on God mode. And it's just like, nah, bro, like you're everybody else. And everybody has what you have, but we're not tapping into that level of delusion that seems to be your norm. At that time, it was acceptable and, pushing down doors, people was buying into it. But now it's gotten to the point to where, much like anybody else, you're going to if you are exhibiting fringe behavior, if you don't actively try to reel it in, it's naturally going to start spilling over. And so for him, as of recently, having more and more outbreaks, where it's just like, hey, man, do you have it all together? Out of the top thoughts in the galaxy, okay, he married top 5, dead or alive. Okay, so this was a guy. So any rational human who would have been married to Kim Kardashian and having baby mama drama with Kim Kardashian would be out of his mind as well. So this is Kanye West, a guy who's already been exhibiting fringe behavior. Now he's got baby mama drama with Kim Kardashian, the mega thought. Of course, she's sleeping with some dude that's going to disrespectfully text the guy and say, I'm in the bed with your wife. And by the way, I kept trying to figure out why this guy picture was popping up everywhere. And I was like, really? She's sleeping with this guy? But why wouldn't she?
Why wouldn't she? Yeah.
She's Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
She sleeps with anybody. You in Hollywood? Oh, she's spreading it. And so that guy is not funny, by the way. Some people just fall into humor. He said, I've seen his stuff before. He says things like, oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. But he's not funny. And so what he did there is kind of like chickens coming home to roost. What he did there was he memed Kanye West. It's a thing where this is going to come out years later, whenever somebody's explaining the Kim Kardashian, Kanye West drama and saga. It's going to pop up with this guy with a text saying, yeah, I was in the bed with your wife.
Yeah.
So this guy did it for the meme of it. He's a new ager person. So I felt like that's extremely disrespectful too. But hey, man, that's new age disrespect.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if some regular dude, do some stuff like that nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for Kanye, so for him being such a fringe person to begin with, who I felt like already had spillover and really grapples and struggles with dealing with reality, a smart guy, clearly, because at the through the rant, he was saying some stuff that was making extreme sense, much less he normally does.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone took the time, and I'm not calling him a hobo, but if you took the time to speak to homeless people, you know, the ones that are strung out on drugs, you know, heroin or whatever, and you can hear the genius in some of these people, but at the same time, it's like, well, damn, why are you out here?
Why are you? Yeah, exactly.
Why are you out here? And it's a thing where it's like, hey, man, there's something not connecting.
Mm-hmm.
So for Kanye, he has that ability to speak and say things, produce music to where you go, hey, man, there's something there. But in other places, there's really not a connection. And so for me, whenever he has these outbreaks and these scenarios, is him not having a connection on full display.
Yeah.
And so any other person would not want to have their business out there like that. But like I said at the beginning, he comes across as a person that really has no one else. So the world is his people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he goes around telling his fans what he has going on internally, because he really doesn't have anyone close to him he can really speak to. So that's my psychoanalysis of him. I think that's why he does these things. But yeah, I'm with you, bro. These things get sadder and sadder.
Yeah.
And before they used to be kind of funny, but now it's just like, damn, bro. But now he's really gonna get drugged through the mud by her. It was bad enough. Everybody was like, I mean, we all saw it 100 yards away, and he went and did it anyway. And so now this is chicken coming home to roost with this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So for him to have, because you were going to have drama with her, baby mama drama at that. And so, but this isn't typical baby mama drama now. This is Kim Kardashian, TMZ drama.
Yeah.
And this will not end pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the worst form of it. That an individual like that with the we just talked about machines in the last topic, but an individual like that with the machine around her that she has, it's just going to heighten.
Yeah, dog.
Like, you know, it's one thing to get divorced from somebody who does not have that kind of machine. But like when you are entering into a situation like that with someone who has that going on, and then you add kids into the mix, it's just going to add to the volatility because of the following that she has behind her. The fact that I don't think I'm overstepping by saying she is more of an opportunist than anyone else in the celebrity limelight. Everything with her is about the next check, the next marketing opportunity, the next thing that she's doing. Everything. I don't think she has a single normal bone in her body at this point. I think her whole entire life is one ongoing reality TV show, whether there's actually a camera rolling or not.
Yep.
She's just a career. She's a walking, breathing reality TV star at all times.
Yeah.
And so for you to enter into that kind of a situation with her, it stands to reason that one can question your judgment. And so I agree. I agree with that. The whole thing with Kanye is, you know, and again, it's funny how because when we pick the topics for this, we don't say beforehand, let's pick two stories that kind of have similar themes. It just kind of seems to happen that way organically, because Kanye is another guy who buys into his own machine. And so, you know, Kanye is someone who early on realized, man, these people are starting to call me a genius.
Yeah.
And so his eccentricities with respect to the fact that people are calling him a genius just went completely through the roof, to the point where now he's calling himself a genius and a god, and he really believes these things about himself. And it's like, you do yourself no favors because you lose all sense of reality. And like, you know, people like him, and I throw Kyrie Irving into this boat as well, who instantly believe that every room that they're in, they're the smartest person in the room. Like when you, and so anyone who doesn't understand, anyone who might not immediately get what you're saying is just somebody who just doesn't understand your genius, and so they're not worth you communicating with. When you've reached that level of like delusion of grandeur, where you believe that you're just on this heightened plane of existence and people can't possibly comprehend what's going on in your deeply thoughtful and complex brain, when you start to lose all sense of reality in that regard, I believe you start to lose, it's like you lose a handle on how to maintain proper judgment. And so you start to make irrational decisions. And look, man, like Kanye is probably someone who also has tunnel vision and dedicated his life tirelessly to the pursuit of excellence within the context of music, to the point where he developed social atrophy himself. And he grew up as an adult, devoid of the opportunity throughout his upbringing to develop normal judgmental skills to develop judgmental skills under normal circumstances. Dave Chappelle has talked about that in the past. Like, he did an interview on CNN years ago after he left his TV show. He was with Anderson Cooper, and he talked about how part of what allowed him to be taken advantage of, to the point where he was in a precarious situation that he felt he needed to walk away from, stemmed from the fact that because he was plugged into the industry at such a young age, going back to when he was 14, he never developed practical skills of judgment under normal circumstances. And so when you don't have those skills and you're relying on handlers, when those handlers go away and you can't fend for yourself, you can be taken advantage of. And like, I relate that kind of Kanye. You know, Kanye probably just never developed some of those practical skills under normal circumstances, like judgment. Because we've talked about judgment in the past. Similar, judgment is an aspect of one's social skills that has to be developed. It's not something that everyone just has off rip. You don't just come out the womb with good judgment, just like you don't come out the womb with good social skills. And so when you are unable to develop that because of the course that your life has taken, it can open you up to being abused in certain scenarios. And when you combine that abuse with the fact that you believe yourself to be something that is like beyond human at this point, is kind of how his brain works. You know, things can get a little rough for you. And so all I can really do is say, hey, man, thanks for the content, number one. But also, in addition to thanking him for the content, saying, you know, I hope that you can get to the point where I'm no longer seeing you make these types of videos. And you know, you might have to remove yourself entirely from that situation that you got going on with your ex-wife and your family, as much as that might be harmful or hurtful, so that you can just become the best possible version of yourself that you can possibly be. But all around, it's just a bad situation.
Yeah, man. But she comes off like a witch. So as a woman who manipulates on purpose, and somewhere in his fragile way of seeing things, she wrapped herself around this guy and wrapped her web of whatever around his brain, and put him in this position to where he wanted to marry her and do all of this stuff. I mean, it was really baffling me. Every kid that was coming out, it was like, man, what are you doing? Yeah. I mean, so I was like, I guess this is a career move, but the way that the Kardashians operate, it's their career. It's not y'all career.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
how you fit into what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And whenever you're not fitting, whatever she has to move on, bro. Like she has terms with dudes. She's not having a full-blown marriage. So your boy Jay-Z is still with Beyonce, but that's because Beyonce is not what Kim Kardashian is. Kim Kardashian, she goes from contract to contract. She's going from team to team. And she's absorbing or whatever. Yeah. The next guy she's get, I mean, he's gonna be some guy. He's gonna fall for it. He's gonna do it. Some Brittany Renner stuff. Somebody's gonna sign up for this willingly, but who will sign up? As we saw, the last person that ignorantly signed up was a guy that we said is on the fringe mentally, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I don't know who's gonna be willingly, going to go marry this woman and try to do all this stuff. There will be some clown that will try to see this as some type of opportunity for his career, maybe. But I really don't see no need of operating or dealing with this woman outside of trying to benefit your own career. Kanye, I would say it kept him relevant in the space when he wasn't really necessarily making music because he was dating her. So there was times where he didn't even have an album out, but he's still in the papers. And so for a person like Kanye, who is honestly addicted to the limelight himself, which is another reason why he probably runs to social media with all his problems, that this was a beneficial situation for him in that regard. But to me, I really feel as though this is going to be a vicious cycle, that we're going to see quite a bit of this. And honestly, when the kids become of age, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Willow, Jaden Smith.
Yeah, oh my God! Yes.
Behaviors from these. Northwest or Southeast, whatever the children.
Those kids are already doomed. No, those kids. I feel most bad for the kids because they're going to grow up in a perpetually dysfunctional situation, and they're going to grow up to be dysfunctional adults. They are. They've already lost. There's no hope for them. I know that sounds pessimistic and cynical, but it is what it is. I mean, yeah, you brought up those kids, the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett kids. Will and Jada have not been nearly as dysfunctional as dysfunctional as they have been. They haven't been as bad as Kanye and Kim, and their kids are on somewhat of the fringe. So you can only imagine what these kids are going to be like. No, that's absolutely. They're done. It's just, it's important to maintain perspective, man. Stop. You can't be a human. You can't develop a God complex. Stop thinking that you are a special human being who is absolved of the problems of typical human beings, because you're not. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can maintain the right perspective and gain the awareness necessary to maintain better judgment. Kanye would have done himself, he would have eliminated a lot of this if he had maintained proper judgment at the onset. But of course, hindsight is 20/20, so you never know. But you just got to be able to read the tea leaves. This chick is coming off of a sex tape and at the time, 2 divorces. So it's like, what do you think is going to happen, bro? Like, you just have to be smarter about the decisions that you make. And this is why, I always kind of go back. I always talk about the progeniting behavior. And for me, the progenation of this whole situation is Kanye's fixation on her, and thus his election to be with her no matter the cost. To the point where he was rapping about it in a song while she was still married to Humphreys.
That's right. Yeah.
So like, he's married about being with her while he's rapping about being with her while she's still married to Humphreys. As soon as that divorce got wrapped up, there he was right there. And it's just like, all efficiency, bro, you just got to be smarter. And I'm not trying to make this an anti-Kim Kardashian commentary. It's just, perspective is an important thing, and good judgment is an important thing. And despite what any of us thinks of Kim Kardashian, there is no marriage if Kanye doesn't propose. She ain't proposed to him, he proposed to her. So like I said, man, I'm not involved with the situation personally. All I can do is say, hopefully he figures out a way to come from up under this. But this is just another entry into the many cautionary tales book. And it's just like, man, make better choices, make better decisions, and stop thinking that you're the smartest person in the room, Kanye. Stop thinking that your genius is so far above board that can't anybody comprehend what you have to say because you're just so smart and such a genius. You know, people like him and Kyrie, they're always going to be misunderstood because they label themselves misunderstood because they don't try to ingratiate themselves and their logic with people so that they can be better understood. It's almost like they want to be misunderstood because it allows them to continue to be different. But like they relish in that space. They want to be misunderstood because it's cool.
Yeah, that's a complex all in itself too.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of wherever that derived from. Because I have a thing where I like being different, and it makes me do things differently than other people because I just want to do this differently. And then so if you have this thing of I'm misunderstood, whenever you're coming into a situation, those people, by the way, I'm the most understanding person there is. One of them. All right.
Yeah.
So because I'm super like, oh, okay. I can understand that even though I don't agree with you, I can still understand why you did that. If you told me why you did that. Oh, I don't agree why you did that, but I understand why you did that.
Yeah.
And so for people who have that complex, they come in with that chip on their shoulder because everybody doesn't agree with them.
Yeah.
I'm so misunderstood.
Yeah.
Then they come with that energy so much so that they think I'm a person that's going to misunderstand them. But I'm not. So with them, when they come with that bias, they're coming in and they're actively trying to see, you misunderstand me.
Yeah,
there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, you misunderstand. It's like, what's your problem? So yeah, you're right. That is a whole thing. I would say that, yeah. Kyrie loves it. He gets off on that.
Mm-hmm. He really does. He leans into it. Kyrie does not want to be understood.
No, because he feels if he's understood, he's being slow.
Yeah.
He's being slow. He's like, nah, I got to be ahead of the curve. I'm so ahead of the curve. Y'all think something's wrong with me. Yeah. And it's like, there is something wrong. Nah, man, I'm just teasing. But yeah, man. Hey, but yeah, to wrap it up with Kanye, man, I wish him all the best. I really gave up for him being 100% what I think saying would look like on him. So I think he's going to be whoever this person is for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll enjoy as much of him as I can. But honestly, bro, it really looks like a man living in misery.
Yeah.
And he really seems like he's unhappy. And it's been this way for quite a while.
Yeah.
And this is just another episode of him having cries for help, it sounds like. Yeah. So this is a sad scenario. I do wish him the best. I do wish the kids the best. It sounds like he doesn't want his kids coming up in the reality TV world.
And I give him credit for that.
But he's bringing the mess with him while he's trying to prevent it, and it's oxymoronic.
It is very much.
That's what his reality he's built for himself.
Very much so. Yeah, it's hard for you to say you don't want your kids to be on TikTok and Instagram when you married the queen of Instagram.
Right.
It's just very hard. It's very hard to reconcile that. Like,
right.
I believe, like, you know, I have sort of informally said that Kim Kardashian, and I don't have any science behind this, of course, but I firmly believe that Kim Kardashian was the first ever Instagram model, the first ever one, ever. So like the proliferation of the modern sexual marketplace with social media and all of this kind of stuff and OnlyFans, I trace the origins of that to her singularly. That's how much credit I give her in terms of what she pioneered. And I don't necessarily mean pioneered in an endearing way, but she did kind of pioneer a lot of this. She was the original. She was the original model. She created what is now the Instagram model or the OnlyFans model or the whatever, the TikTok, the influencer. Kim Kardashian was the first ever. She was.
Influencers, man.
I'm just saying, like,
I get it.
That's how influential I think she is, in my opinion. Because none of this stuff was going on before she was doing her thing. And then when Instagram showed up, she was the first to leverage it like that. All of these chicks basically followed her look from her skin tone to her hair and all of that kind of stuff.
To
They all copied her look.
To the out of shape, warped surgery bodies.
Yeah.
Coke shape shit.
Yeah, like, you know, keep it up with the Kardashians. That TV show, yeah, it was about the family, but she was the main draw. They capitalized off of that Ray J situation. That show came, she was the main draw. She started a lot of this. So it's kind of hard for you to marry that and then talk about, I don't want my kids on TikTok and Instagram. Bro, you've already lost that battle. She created this thing.
So when
you're not going to go to the creator and tell the creator you can't do this.
So for me, man, I'm a big energy guy. And I'm a person that really believes that whatever energy you see in front of you, there's another energy behind that empowers that person, kind of thing. And so for Kim Kardashian, the energy in which she brought to the planet, like how you said, if you want to give her the pioneer status and stuff for creating these lanes for these people, being the trailblazer.
Yes. Yeah.
For this energy that's out here just running rampant. For the person who created this person is the energy signature of that. They embody it.
Yeah.
And so for you to marry, that's why I called her a super thought like that, because for honestly, for how fast women are being trained to be now, because they're being trained to be this fast through social media and all this other stuff. They're being trained to be this fast from her business model. And so when we see these girls out here and you meet them and, oh man, she got that wild stuff going on, and you can trace its origins back to the originator. It's kind of like some anime and you see, well, who's the person that started this thing? And then you go to the energy source and it's this goblin thing. But it comes off, it looks like in 3D world, it looks like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
But Kanye West talking all this lore stuff. That's probably why he run into Jesus. He realized he married some demon woman. Every night, this goblin woman. So he had to turn to Jesus. He went from thinking he was God to worshiping God. This woman is so crazy. So he decided to deal with this entity. Whatever with the Kim Kardashian or anybody else, but like how you said, man, when that foolishness started to grow wings, when that reality show took off, even when the sex tape came out, I was like, once I saw the sex tape, I was like, so?
Yeah.
But it was still like, hey man, she got a fat ass. Then I was like, all right, but then that was like, but it's fake.
Yeah.
Oh, who cares? Who cares? Honestly, if you want to talk about who cares, it was her. It was her. Cause you're right, bro. She started this because honestly, even listen, who doesn't like a Coke shaped figure? All right. But at the same time, bro, I don't want, this like weird structure. Like that's too much up top. That's not enough on the waist, and that's too much on the hips.
Yeah.
Because you've been constructed in the lab.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm not a fan of any of that. Give me natural, give me soft, because no one, because what nobody really wants to talk about is how hard her derriere really is. It's shaped well in those Instagram pictures, but give it a rub.
Yeah.
Right? Your kitchen table soft.
There's a lot of firmness.
Your kitchen table.
There's a reason why you can sit a book on it, because it's so stiff it don't go nowhere. It don't go nowhere. It's so damn stiff.
Oh, I'm taking
it's
that.
crazy, man. You just give me a hard worker any day. I don't need the
yes, sir.
The artificiality.
Yes,
just
sir.
give me a girl who wants to be in the gym 3 days a week, and I'll work with that, because I'll take putting in the work to build what you already have into the best possible version of itself.
I think what we need, bro, is honestly just like how you really have this thing about, buying into OnlyFans. Hey, look, guys, if you're a fringe guy, you got a couple subscriptions here or there. Hey, bro, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Get off the fringe. You know what I'm saying? Claim your life back. And so the same thing goes, bro, for dealing with the women that work hard. Because this whole attitude of, well, who cares? It's still fat. No, man. Let's bring it in, guys.
Yeah,
let's have standards.
We gotta rein that in. We gotta rein that in, just like we have to rein in making BBW and fat the same thing. It's all a part of it. It's all a part of it.
So we gotta have a standards episode.
We do.
Yeah, we gotta have a standard, because
it all falls in line. It's all the same. It's all the same conversation of, like, I don't know at what point this happened, where collectively as a people we just decided that we were okay, specifically men, with not maintaining standards at all and just grouping everything into a bubble that even if it doesn't apply, and all of that's the same. So now we got these, and then it doesn't help. And I'm not trying to get off the rails here. But it's just, this stuff is so pervasive. It doesn't help when you got these jits, these rappers getting on music talking about how they'll pay for these girls' surgeries, and talking about how they'll pay for the butt shots and for all of this kind of stuff. And they're perpetuating these notions, and they're calling fat chicks BBWs, and they're calling all manners of surgeries BBLs, even though a BBL is a very specific thing. So you're flooding the market with all this misinformation, and then the zombies among us soak it all in and just, we just project it back out into the world. It doesn't help matters. It really doesn't. And so, we got to rein it back in. There needs to be a standards conversation, all of that. It all factors in. It's all the same. You don't say it's okay that I don't care that she looks like, I don't care if it's all fake. Look how she looks. No.
What is that?
We're not doing that. We're not doing, she's 70, 80 pounds overweight and she has a ton of cottage cheese, but we're going to call that BBW. No, we're not doing that. BBWs are bigger women, they're bigger size, larger, bigger bone, but they're still in shape. Okay, BBWs are not big and sloppy and overweight and out of shape. We've lost sight of a lot of this. It needs to be reined back in.
I agree.
And it goes back to the central point that I have kind of about perspective and maintaining good judgment. Like, a guy with good judgment not only identifies the difference, but has the balls to express, no, that's fat and not BBW, without fear of being criticized for his own opinions. And we've lost that. That's the art of what we've lost, and we got to bring that back.
Agreed.
But, that's it for my soapbox. But it factors into the conversation because it goes back to, Kanye and his decision to get with this type of situation, to be in that kind of dynamic and environment. And it's just, standards and perspectives and judgment, that shit goes a long way. It honestly does.
Yeah, it's just, I still think Kanye overall, this will be looked at as definitely a blemish on his life story, his bibliography or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Because definitely his life will be a movie. It will be made into a movie later. So
if we were talking sports, we would say this would be a stain on his legacy. This would be bad on his legacy.
There's some kid in high school right now that's going to play the Kanye in the future, right? So Kanye will have a movie out expressing all of his genius and all of his ups and downs. And this will definitely be highlighted in there, I'm sure. So, hey, man, like I said, man, more power to Kanye, man. Hope you get well, bro. I wish as less pain as possible, man. But when you are dealing with the narc of narcs,
for real, man,
she will rip your heart out. So honestly, that's what you signed up for. But wishing you less pain as possible.
There's less pain. Yeah. I'm with you. Moving forward, however less pain that you can incur is better.
Yes, Kanye, please.
Yeah, shouts out to Kanye, man. But that'll be it for tonight's topics, man. Certainly appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. If you're watching this video, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you can get that notification for all new content that's published posted to the channel. Certainly appreciate that. If you're watching this video on the Facebook page, hit the share button, hit the like button. Also like the page overall if you haven't done that. Certainly appreciate that. All content is on the website consciousapproach.com. That's the full content library is there. You can follow the Conscious Approach page on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. You can also follow me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Certainly appreciate all the support. Continue to follow us as we continue to up the ante, continue to post to the channel, continue to flood the channel with new content. And as always, man, continue to support logical content.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon SS. Go ahead and subscribe on over there. And yeah, as I normally say, man, just keep it chill, man. Keep it player, keep it neutral. Don't be too high, don't be too low. The pursuit of happiness isn't really the thing, man. Honestly, the pursuit of content, honestly, and just being happy with what you have, being in the present should be the goal, because that's honestly no different than being neutral or being too high or too low. So
facts. Yeah, man. So be on the lookout, man. Until next time, JV Wins, Dogon SS, signing off for this stream, man. March 15th. We'll catch you on the flip side.